to compare the difference between frame by frame and timeline animation, we're going to create this animated greeting card today, or get started on it at least. So the first thing we're going to do is to make a new document. Let's call it Valentine's card. And we're going to go to the document type. We're going to choose film and video. The size will leave at this preset 1080p, which, what's that P stand for? Pixel looks good. All right. The resolution will be at 72. That's all we need for screen. And I like changing the background color to transparent so that I can. Sometimes if you have weird colors and stuff, it's kind of hard to see them. So if we do transparent, we have that. All right. Should be the preset for that. All right. So next we're going to use a heart, or we're going to create a heart, and we're going to do it with 2 points of the pen path. Now, if you really want some practice using the pen, this is a good site to use. Bezier.method.ac, but I'll kind of guide you through a couple exercises what they do here in Photoshop. So if you go down in your toolbar about halfway, we should see this pen tool. Now I know that the pen is maybe not people's favorite tool. It does take a little bit of practice to get used to using, but let me point out a couple of things with the pen. All right, we're going to start off by making a box, and we'll fill it in. All right. So if we click and hold the Shift key, it's going to constrain our pen to making straight lines. And then when you get back to the beginning, you should see a little circle pop up on your pen. I know it's really hard to see on the screen, but there's a little circle that pops up when I move the mouse back over the initial point. So that completes what's called a complete path or a loop. All right, so now to fill this in, we're going to go over to the path palette, and you should see, so our palettes are these little tabs on the side. So find the one that says path, and then we're going to go down to the bottom, and we're going to choose this one that says load path as selection. And what you should find is that it makes that dotted.
Oh, damn.
And then we can use the drop down arrow or just right click the path and say fill path. We're going to choose whatever, you can just choose foreground color, and it fills that shape in. So I wanted to just review some of the selection tools, all right? You could use the move tool. Actually, we can do, right now the dotted lines are indicating that it is selected, so I can do Control D to deselect. I'll use the move tool. I can move this shape around. You notice though that our path is still there, right, when we do that. So on our path palette, I use the move tool and I move the shape around. On our path panel, the path is still selected, so if I just click off of it, now that path disappears. Right? But we want to get rid of this shape right now because we don't really need it for anything. So I'm going to go down to the next tool here, our marquee tool. All right. I'm going to select this rectangular marquee. I can select it, draw a box around it, and delete.
Did you just delete it out of that?
Well, it's not selected otherwise.
If you know that.
Another method to select this would be the magic wand tool, which is 2 more down from the marquee. If you have an object that is all one color, like this is, the magic wand will select that and you can delete that as well. Alright, so however you're deleting that shape, you can do that. And then we're going to go back to the pen, and I'm going to show you how to make a heart with 2 points. Alright, some of you may go around like this and trying to make a shape, but it's kind of rough and choppy, right? So I'll delete that path. The other thing with the pen, if you've used it before And what we looked at before, if we just clicked and clicked, we get a straight line, right? If I click and drag, look at what happens to that point, right? We get these what are called handles, which I can press the control key and then I can modify and make that as curvy as I want. All right, so instead, but what I'm going to do to make this heart, and I would definitely recommend watching as I do this, and I'll tell you what I'm doing. All right, so I'm going to start by clicking and dragging to make a diagonal line down. While I'm still holding the left mouse button, I'm pressing the Alt key, and I'm going to kind of make this into a V shape. All right, that's going to allow this handle to move a little bit more. Then I can come down here, I'm going to click and drag, and now we have that kind of one side of the heart. I'm going to again hold the Alt key while I'm still pressing the left button. I'm going to come back up here. Now I'm going to let go of both. And then I'm going to come to the top and drag out that. And that is a pretty good heart. We can go back then and again, like I said, just you could use that. If you press the control key, that will do that. Alright, so I'm going to do it together again, and this time I'll go step by step and tell you what I'm doing here. Alright, so now that we have our background placed and our text created, now we're ready to animate. So what I'd like you guys to do is save your document so that we have all your progress to this point saved. And then what we're going to do is create another document, basically, so that we can compare the two types of animation. So if you go up to Image and select Duplicate, what it's going to do is make an exact copy of this file, so that we wouldn't have to start all over from scratch and do all this stuff again. So let's just call this one, we're going to call this one Timeline. All right, so we're going to create an animation in two different ways. One in frame by frame, and the other is a timeline method. All right, so what we have here is we have two tabs on the top, right? And right now they're exactly the same. Now, to set up our different animations, first thing we want to do is go to Window and select Timeline. All right, when you do that, you should have this pop-up on the bottom which appears, which is kind of blank. All right, and for this case, so this is my file. It's going to be my frame by frame. It's not named Timeline. So I'm going to change this to Frame Animation and then Create Frame Animation. So what you should now see is there's going to be a little thumbnail on the bottom. So this is our frame by frame animation. Then for our other file, we're going to choose Create Video Timeline and press that button. So now if I look between the two files, on screen is the same, but what's on the bottom is different. How to move things for an animation. All right. So on our frame by frame file, what I'd like you to do is look down here on the bottom, and to the left of the trash can, there is a button that says Duplicate the selected frame. Right? So when we do that, then we can use our Move tool. I don't have the right layer selected, that's why I was telling you that. So make sure you select the heart layer, drag the heart over, and a couple other things here. If I were to play this, it's going to kind of just blink, right? This timing underneath of the frame is your delay. So the arrow to the right, I would change that delay to about 0.2 or 0.5 seconds on each one of them. Now if I play, try to just watch, and then maybe you can do it the second time. All right, so I press the button down here to make a duplicate frame. Then on my document window, I just move the heart. And what you can see down here in the frames is that that heart is actually moving within it.
Ah, yes.
All right, so it's going to basically create these keyframes of our heart. So right now you should have it that the animation, you have 2 frames and about a 0.2 second delay. And actually another thing we can do is we can change our looping option right underneath of it to forever. So now, hopefully nobody gets, seizures or anything. What?